And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today we're taking a look at a game called Schmovie. If you remember, a while ago there was a game called Quarriors, and everything in Quarriors was quiddity, and they just put QU in front of everything. Well, these folks like to do the same thing and put SCH in front of everything in this. You know, the Schmovie, and but it's a game about making funny movie titles. And if you think about like parody movie titles, like Naked Gun, and then they made up some funny tagline after it. This is the same thing. You're supposed to write ridiculous movie titles and get other people to pick them. This is a party game that can be played singly and or in teams. Let's take a look at it. Alright, in this game you have a pile of what cards and who cards. You have a die, and you have a bunch of squids here, which is, I suppose, an Oscar. I'm not sure what it's supposed to stand for. One person is the judge. Each other person is going to get one of these boards and a marker. The game comes with markers, erasable markers, and then the person who is the judge or the producer is going to turn over two cards. What? So we have an adjective usually, lazy, and who, a pro wrestler. So we look at these categories and we're trying to write a movie title now that's about a pro wrestler. And the movie needs to be a horror movie, or a sci-fi movie, or action, or drama, or romantic. Or here you can say anything you want, anything from Western to documentary, etc. So let's say we rolled a heart here. So we're trying to make a romantic movie about a lazy pro wrestler. Now, on the back here, they have things like a date with, when someone met someone. So I could say, for example, here, maybe my movie title would be When Hogan Met Sally. Okay, that's pretty lame. A lame answer, but I put that in the middle. Everyone else writes their answers too. Maybe this guy's thing is On the Rope. So this guy is Lazy Rowdy Piper, and this guy is WWZ, and this guy wrote Shut the Door. So we take all these, we mix them up, and then we put them in the middle, and whoever is the judge or producer will look at these and he'll say, WWZ sounds good, and he'll put a squid on top of that one. Now, that person then takes that, and then the next person becomes a judge, and you keep going. So what I've just shown you is essentially the game, as you're going to be trying to think of different things. You can write titles that are parodies of other movies. You can just write silly nonsense. You can do whatever you want. The fact is, after someone has won 5 of these squids, or maybe 4 of them, depends on how many players are in the game. So let's say you're playing a full 6-player game. Whoever gets 4 of them first is the winner. You can play as teams on each side, so you work together, just like most party games. Before we head out to my final thoughts, just to give you an idea of some of the other things in the game, we have Love Struck, and Vulgar, and Genius. And so maybe we have a giant country singer. Or maybe the next one would be about a time-traveling princess. Or the next one, a two-timing dinosaur. Or undercover rock band. Or a ruthless clown. Or a pyromaniac baby. Or a psychic robot. So there's all sorts of things here, and the game has a lot of variety. Schmovie! Okay, party games. They tend to do well. People like to play party games, but there's often different categories of party games, and there's one category I put this into, and that's the creative category. Now, in this game, you need to be creative. Someone who has a hard time thinking of stuff will have a difficult time. So much that the rules of a whole section, what do you do when you're stuck? And on the back of the cards, idea for titles. And, think of this movie and such. And people can do okay. But truly clever people will do better. I'm a little concerned about the handwriting thing. Okay? Any game that involves people writing stuff down means that you can recognize their handwriting. You say, well, are people that good? Yes, people could usually tell, especially when you are friends with somebody and you know their handwriting. And after you see it, after a few turns, you're going to know what it is. I almost wish that someone else would, this is easily mitigated, I guess. You just hand the titles and have someone else read them to the judge. And then the judge can pick from listening to them rather than reading them. That's a better way. Now, the game itself, as I said, there's a lot of variety because you have 2 decks and those decks get mixed up and you throw in the die. That's a huge amount of variety. The gameplay itself can lead to some laugh-out-loud moments when you say funny movie titles and explain about what the movie titles is and people talking about the plot of the movie. Okay, that's funny. But then again, I'm not sure this game does anything new. It doesn't break any new ground. It's just writing funny movie titles, which I think has an audience, and I think some people are going to really enjoy this. But for me, it gets kind of old pretty quickly. We play it and it was fun. When do you want to play it again? I don't know, next year. That's the kind of feel I get from it. It can play a good chunk of players, and the team thing, that's just the way I think the shoehorn in extra players. Team thing doesn't really work. What are you supposed to do? Whisper as you write down the titles? It doesn't work in a good setting like that. This is not what I would call a team party game, and it's certainly one that's going to favor creative people. So yes, the components are good, although I don't really. The squids on stands, that's almost like an extra cost production thing that didn't need to be in the game. Tokens would have been fine and faster to move around. But I guess there's something like, here's your trophy, sir. So I guess there's that, and that probably does add to the ambiance of the game. So, when it all comes down to it, what I think of Schmovie, well, better for creative people than not. A good party game, but not a great one. So I'm going to say that Schmovie is just schmokay.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at DicetowerNetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door.
There.